Hi everyone, welcome to the Spiritual Society podcast. I'm Mariam.
And I'm Zeta.
And we are so grateful that you are joining us today. This podcast is dedicated to helping you merge the spiritual world with your reality.
And in today's episode, we are going to be talking about the importance of gratitude, the impact of affirmations, and the power of the spoken word.
I want to start this off by saying that I think we're all guilty of taking things for granted at some point in our lives.
Yeah.
And not being conscious of practicing gratitude.
Yeah.
And during the times in my life where I wasn't conscious of this, I would say I was very depressed. I wasn't in a good place mentally. Yeah. And that all makes sense because when you are in a low place, you're not actually being mindful and you're not being conscious of things that could potentially uplift you because you're so low. Yeah. And it definitely is a good starting point to make a shift away from like lower vibrational feelings.
Absolutely. Because like gratitude's like a higher frequency, and obviously depression sits at one of the lowest, in my opinion, of like frequencies and vibes. So even by making slight changes of what you're grateful for and like counting your blessings can really help you divert your attention to the positives, because negatives and positives will always exist in life, right? You're always gonna, whatever you look at, I always say, whatever you look at grows. So if you look at negatives, you're going to start to see a lot more of that in your reality. If you are focused on positives, you're going to be focusing a lot more on that. And also, not even just that, in situations, I find if you're at that low frequency of not being grateful for the things that you do have around you, you're going to find so many obstacles, and even the greatest of blessings, you're going to find excuses to still stay low. And I think in some cases it does kind of, in my case anyways, I can only speak for myself. When I was at a low vibe, obviously I wouldn't admit this at the time because I didn't see it that way, but it felt more of an addiction to negatives, because it was better to, you know, not get my hopes up in situations than to get my hopes up and feel disappointed in, you know, with the fear of it dissipating from my life if something was great.
Completely agree. Yeah, makes sense. It's like you're aligning to what you think you're worth, and what you deserve.
And that's why you see people who good things happen in their lives, or at least things that you would feel grateful for, and they're like completely oblivious to it because they're focusing so much on the but what ifs, and you know, what if this goes wrong, or it's still not exactly what I want, rather than actually counting their blessings in a lot of different other areas of their life.
We all have something we can be grateful for.
Do you know
seriously,
what? It's so true, because I count my blessings on so many of the minuscule things that you would never even think about. Like I am so obsessed with gratitude when it comes down to air. Like I am so happy to breathe, and to breathe effortlessly, because there's some people out there who don't have that ability, who don't have that health to
even
be able to do so.
Like breathing, like you can be grateful for breathing, like seriously.
It's so calming.
Anything and everything is a blessing.
I'm grateful for the trees. I'm grateful for the nature
Something
around
really
me.
Cute happened to us today. I think it's worth mentioning.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
So we went out for a walk, and then we needed to go inside a shop, and we needed like masks, and we were like covering our faces with like our jackets, and we approached the worker, and we were like, do you have masks? And I kid you not, like he just took us to the mask section and just gave us our masks and handed it over to us.
Like opened the packet.
Open, like such a gentleman. Like we were like gushing, like how sweet is this man? And and it was pink, like, and it actually matched my hoodie that I was wearing. So it was so divine in a way, and it's such a small occurrence, but we were so blessed and grateful for it.
It was just such a surprise, because
it's just the smallest things.
We was just walking, and we was like, oh, like we forgot our masks at home, so we was like, oh, we'll just go to the shop and ask if they have any. And then like within 5 seconds of the thought of like we needed something, we got given it for free, and it was just such an insane moment. Like
just so grateful,
small, but we was like, thank you.
And when you're grateful for the small things that show up for you, it invites more, like
absolutely.
naturally, because you're kind of energetically telling the universe that you're receiving, and that you're grateful, so you're inviting more of that in,
and that you're open to more.
You're open.
Absolutely, the door's open so that blessings can just come your way.
So
Whereas
sweet.
if you aren't grateful for things, it's kind of like a parent and a child. Like if you're ungrateful and you don't count your blessings when the parent gives something to you, the parent's going to stop, or that thing's going to stop giving it to you because you're not being grateful enough for it. So until that kid's grateful, then the parent will come in and
it's
give
like
it
your
more
teacher.
things. Yeah,
like
well, I always
universe
see
is teaching you.
Absolutely, I always see like the universe as like the mother or the father. Like I always see it as something that is like a parent. So I think it's really important to understand that you get given things that you're open for. If you're going to see the negatives in everything, you're just going to see the negatives and all the blessings, right? That's the life that you're living in. And plus it's perspective.
For sure. Oh my God. Like you can give the same circumstance to two different people. One will make the most out of it, be so grateful, happy, and the other person can just like complain about every single
and
thing.
Say, is that it? I wanted more, or that's not what I wanted.
And it's all about being grateful. It completely shifts your energy. And I think implementing it into like a daily routine, especially in the morning, because now, like, obviously I think everyone to some extent is guilty of this as well. Like when you wake up, you just want to look on your phone and just you know, check your socials, if your mum's messaged you, whatever. And like that's not a good way to start your day. Like it actually is so like it what's the word, like
I would just personally say it's like a distraction.
What's the word I'm looking for? It's self-sabotaging. There you go.
That's it.
Because you're
right.
trying to start your day in a nice way. And how about having like a gratitude journal, or just mentally taking a note of what you're grateful for?
And just one thank you. Just one thank you in the morning is enough. To start your day off right.
Always,
And you always start to see the signs.
Yeah, that first breath you take, you know, when you open your eyes and it's like a new day, like just inviting that day with grace. Like it's so grounding to do that.
Just like being grateful for even waking up. In my opinion, some people don't wake up. That's the sad, like the scariest part. So it's really important to be grateful for things that we again take for
everything,
you know, granted, that other people don't get the chance to have. Even having a roof over your head, it may not be the one that you want, it may not be exactly in the best of conditions, but it's something. You're still protected some way, somehow.
If you're grateful for what you have in the same way that you would be grateful for what you want, that's like the first step towards manifesting.
Absolutely.
Because it's like you're already in that position that it's yours, and that attracts what you want. So honestly, gratitude is like the number one thing to be practiced.
Like everything. I really personally feel like we should be grateful for everything, even in the worst situations. Like when I look back at my life, and even in the darkest of my moments, like everything bad that has happened to me, I look back now and I'm so darn grateful for it, because it has made me who I am today. And seeing it in that mindset rather than the victim mindset is so powerful, because it brings so much change and amazingness into your life. And I can personally say that like I'm so much more aware through gratitude of so many other like minuscule details that other people won't. And we I don't know if any of you follow me on Instagram, but like we posted a picture of Mariam today, didn't we, of you hugging a tree, and it was like just the vibes that you get from nature, and you know, the gratitude behind.
We take nature for granted.
The trees literally clean our air and help us.
to not hug trees, like I don't think it's normal to not hug trees.
I would love to walk to a park one day in the future and see everyone hugging a tree. How amazing would that be?
Honestly, like I feel like we all need to connect to nature and be more conscious of the environment as well. Like even like our home, like the earth, right? Being grateful for that and taking care of the earth like in any way that we can is like expressing your gratitude for your home, and it just fills your soul with like so much joy, because we're all gonna like die one day, like not to sound like, you know, it's just the reality.
This is just my topic. I love this. I love this topic.
We always talk about this in a way where we have to be grateful and make life worthwhile, because we're only going to be here for a short amount of time. And to not be grateful for the environment and the earth and be conscious of where we're living and just being obsessed with your own life and your path, it's so selfish to me, because you need to really expand your awareness to like the wider world, and that at the same time gives you so much ease. Like slow down, like we're all connected, we're all grateful to be here, we're all just passing by, and you know, we cross paths with people, we lose people, we meet people, and it's just a part of life, and you should just take it with grace and gratitude.
Absolutely. How beautiful was that? Very nicely explained.
Yeah, honestly.
I was like mesmerized by your words. I was like, it's
stop
so
it,
empowering.
you.
It is, but it's empowering, and that's how life should be looked at. Like, even in the worst of situations, it's so important to count your blessings, because on a spiritual level, it invites more in. That's just how the law of attraction works. When you embrace abundance
and the synchronicities that just pop up out of nowhere when you're grateful.
Oh my, you notice it. The universe is like, oh my god, you're listening, you're seeing these things, and they start sending you more. Like we've seen so many different synchronicities. Can I just say,
like, going back to what happened today, like with the masks, when this very nice angel gentleman like was walking to the masks, there were like loads of different masks, like loads, like a strangely wide selection, and he chose the one that synchronized with like the clothes. So even that is such a weird synchronicity, because right before we realized we needed the masks, we were actually talking about abundance or like gratitude and all of that?
We've been speaking about this all day, I think. Yeah, like, I've noticed it a lot.
Like we were on that kind of vibe with our conversation, and then it just so happens the next interaction we had with someone was so synchronized.
Absolutely.
And it's just wild, like, that people like aren't aware of this, because it's so easy to tap into like this existence and this way of life, and that's when life becomes magical.
And you're putting out like deservingness into the environment as well, like into your environment, and I do really feel like the universe gifts you what you're grateful for. And I think it's so nice, and we've just been having, you know, as Mariam said, we went for a walk today, but this is a new area to the both of us.
Yeah, this is a completely new area. I've never been here.
That was the first time we went to this really beautiful park, and it's the most stunning parks I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
the vibes from it was incredible, and obviously this is going to be like the new environment that I'm going to be around, so like it's such a blessing to be in that kind of environment. And so I was literally so grateful the whole day. Like I think my heart was going to explode.
You know, like she actually means her heart was going to explode. Like there were moments where she had to stop walking, guys, and hold like her chest in place.
I get so grateful. I really feel and embody things. Like I am so obsessed with the universe, and the power that it holds to nourish us and to like make sure that we are protected and guided.
When we trust.
And even when we was walking, like we saw feathers everywhere, and like it was so beautiful, like in the perfect of moments as well. We'd be talking about abundance or signs from the universe, we'll just come across a feather or something, and it was just so divine.
Like your surroundings are always talking to you, like all the freaking time. It's nuts. Like it's actually, and I'm saying this because obviously we weren't always so conscious.
No, well, exactly. And we should talk about that actually. We'll go into that.
Yeah, like before you're conscious, like nothing, you're not awake almost. No. You're like walking with your eyes closed, and nothing is magical, and everything is just so
bitter, and
you're not like seeing the symbolism of things. You're not connecting to your intuition, and you know, like we were talking about your feelings, like you're in a low vibe, but then when you like start taking notice, like it's so magical the way the universe communicates straight back in your face. Like it's like okay I get it now. It's just amazing, and it makes you feel so secure and safe.
Absolutely.
And that's how you like build your essence, like of who you are, and that's based on trust
and your future practically, because I think that you can change your whole entire destiny just by being grateful, because it's almost like you have two paths to walk, one of lack, one of abundance, or one straight in the middle of just just nothingness.
Yeah.
And it's really down to you
choose
which one you
terms.
choose. Do you want a life of abundance? If so, embrace the abundance. See that you're abundant already, and you will start to attract more of that. Or if you want to see things in a lack, because you have a choice, it's down to you how you want to see things. If you want a lack in life, see everything in a lack, see everything in a negative way. And I used to be like that. And similar to you, as you said in the beginning, when I was in that really down stage in my life, I was so blinded to everything around me. I was so
even
up
when
in my
there were
head.
signs, even if, you know, when you look back and you're like, I should have listened to my gut, or I should have, and you never did. But it was always there telling you. And it's like, you're just, your existence, you're operating from a place where you can't even align yourself to your instincts, because you're just not operating from what's good for you.
Absolutely. And it was a switch that went on in my mind of where I actually realized I had a lot more than I thought I did, and it wasn't in the places I was looking for. And that's when I kind of realized, and that's when my mind switched and my whole life switched before me, which I think is really powerful. I went from a lack perspective and feeling down and like completely, you know, I took life for granted big time. You know, it's a very difficult stage in my life, but I never did things that I would do now. You know, I literally was stayed in my house. I didn't even appreciate the things that I had around me. I isolated myself a lot, and, you know, I was up in my own mind. But as soon as like something switched inside me, and I was just grateful for even just walks in the park, I was grateful for just being able to be here. Like, even if things around me wasn't how I wanted it to be, being in a present situation and not thinking in the future about what I wanted and what I thought I needed, I was able to attract that abundance into my life and make my life even more meaningful. And I think that was such a big turning point in my life, of where I realized I was looking in the wrong places for things. And so it's like, it's so important to start from like small. And whenever people come to me and message me, email me, whatever, and ask me like, how do I change my life? Like, how do I actually turn things around? Like, I'm so down. I literally begin them off with a gratitude list. All right, start writing down 5 things you're grateful for every single day, whether it be morning or night. Like, I think it's so important to have a nice routine with it. It's nice in the morning because it's the first thing that, you know, empowers you, right? You're already grateful.
Do you ever have those moments where you're so grateful it brings you to tears?
Babe,
and it's the smallest thing. It could be the smallest thing, and you're like, oh my God.
My whole life.
Yeah, like,
absolutely.
And like, we're saying that from being 2 people that weren't like that at all. Like, accessing that part of you that is so grateful and feels so nurtured by the smallest things. That's like where your power is, and where you connect with yourself, because you realize just how blessed you are.
And to the universe, really. It's a connection to yourself and the universe, which is where law of attraction comes through, and like manifestation comes in.
You're like a clear channel for the universe to work through you and show you things, because you recognize how abundant and how synchronized everything is, and you're just grateful.
I think also, if you're trying to manifest things and you aren't grateful for what you already have, like if you're trying to, let's say for example, you're trying to manifest a new home, but you're not grateful for the one that you're in, you're not going to get a new home. Because a part of, I think, your lessons in life is to understand that everything's a stepping stone, and everything's a part of your journey for a divine reason. You know, nothing in your life is there or put there, or, you know, you don't go through things for no reason. Everything has some form of abundance in your life.
Yes.
And I think you have to understand why you're on one stepping stone before you go to the next. Otherwise you slip and you have to start again. You know, it's one of those. And also one gratitude list in the night as well, for like things that have happened today, the smallest of things. You know, it could be from seeing a white feather on the floor. I'm always grateful for that. From like
a coffee shop having like a vegan, you know, cake.
Yep. Or from, you know, someone giving you a mask.
Yeah.
Or
like, it's so magical, like when you just think of all the things, even if it's like you have access to water.
Yeah.
Like, just deep that for a second. Like, not everyone has access to water.
Absolutely.
Like, it's freaking nuts, like, to just actually fully be conscious of how many things there are to be grateful for.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't like this perspective, because it's very like lack. What throws people off is thinking, yeah, but not everyone in the world has that, so I shouldn't be grateful for it, because like, what is that going to change? It's like, no, like, for a second just be grounded in your own existence, and you know, if that really bothered you, like make a difference in the world.
Absolutely.
Like don't just say like, yeah, this happens in the world and that means that life is just like supposed to be hard for everyone.
Yeah, I noticed that in a lot of people, of where they're like, oh, you know, how can I be happy when so and so's not doing well, or this isn't happening? But it's a lot to do with other people, I've noticed.
Yeah, like people don't want to focus on themselves, and it's like they give their power to like situations that don't even like relate to them or have anything to do with them. You don't even know anyone that's probably in that position, or it's so external to you.
Like I know a lot of people who, you know, aren't grateful for their job because their boss is a complete, you know, a-hole. But it's like, but you have a job, you're getting some form of income, like regardless of who's making your life difficult, that doesn't stop you from being grateful for what you do have.
Yeah.
If you're obviously looking for gratitude in something that's not going to give you anything. If you've got, you know, a bad boss, of course you're not going to find abundance there apart from a lesson that you possibly could learn from this person. But the fact that you're in a job, or the fact that you do have a roof over your head, even if it's not the right one, you be abundant and understand that you are abundant right now, and that's going to help you move on to the next stepping stone.
Yes,
it's so important. Like mind, I always say that, mind your business. You're going to start to really kind of close out from the negativity that probably is surrounding you, and start to awaken to the enlightenment that's within you. And with enlightenment, there is tons and tons and infinite loads of abundance. Starting from your functioning body. Do you ever realize that? Like, I go so deep. Sorry, Scorpio moon.
Oh my gosh, no, I completely agree with you. And one thing that I've implemented actually into my daily routine, I don't know if this is TMI, it's not, but anyway, like when I'm showering, like I'm very conscious of my body, and I'm grateful for every like body part. Yeah. Because like sometimes it's like not everyone has like, you know, what you have in terms of your health, and like even that is something that can potentially move you to tears of gratitude.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
Because like how wild is it to think that you're that blessed where you have like everything's in place for you. Yeah. And having that every day, like seriously, if you think like that every day, you will be so you will be buzzing, and it will probably motivate you to do exercise, to go outside for a walk, to just be more active. Like that's,
converse with more people, find new opportunities. Yeah, absolutely.
It all starts with like your gratitude and your view of yourself and how blessed you are for you to put yourself, like, to move forward with grace and trust. Because if you're not grateful for what you have, how are you're not going to trust your surroundings. You're going to be so suspicious of things because you're not coming from like a higher place. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
And affirmations really help with reaching this like this way of being as well.
Yeah, and I think it's so important. Like, affirmations isn't just speaking things into existence. Like, the spoken word is so powerful, but you know, it's also belief, and that's a really good thing. Also, a tip for manifestation is you don't have to just say it or think it, you have to believe in it. And affirmations are just saying it, really embody what it is that you're talking about and how you're feeling when you're saying it, because it goes hand in hand with whatever it is that you're trying to manifest in or affirm in your life, whether it is, you know, the fact that you're an almighty being, which you are, and, you know, affirming that you will become an almighty being. You're going to feel like an almighty being the more that you say it to yourself. And actually, the thing behind affirmations, for those of you who don't understand it, is pretty much saying something and speaking it into existence, whether it's a feeling, or whether it's things coming into your life, whether it's just telling yourself that you're abundant and attracting in abundance and feeling abundant so that you're attracting in more abundance.
An affirmation that really speaks to me, and actually I want to mention this before I go into that. So, you know, when you see, why are you smiling?
I can't smile.
You're like cracking up.
No, just
you're so cute. It threw me off. So there is a reason why we're drawn to certain affirmations, whether you see it like on your socials, or it's a prayer, or you just hear something and it resonates with you. There's a reason for that. And it's because implementing that affirmation will make changes for you, and your higher self is telling you that. It's not just that that's a nice, you know, affirmation that you just heard. It's because your inner being like really resonates with it, and it's almost asking you, like that nudge is there for you to implement it.
Say this.
Yeah, like
this is gonna help you.
Yeah, and like it's part of your, you know, it's your choice if you listen to it or not. But that I've found has been very useful for me to connect with what I need to implement in my daily routine.
Yeah,
because it's not by chance that you feel a nudge when you hear an affirmation and you're like, yeah, like that really resonates with me.
Yeah.
And there's one that I've been saying every night actually, and it's helped me really trust everything that happens throughout the day. And it goes something like this. It's from a book called The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Scovel Shinn, and it's quite an old book, like 100 years.
Yeah, it is the most. I love reading, right? It is so powerful to read this book. And for those of you who really like reading or listening to audiobooks, I highly recommend that you note down the name of this book because it makes you feel incredibly powerful. But yeah, what's the affirmation?
So the affirmation is, I let go of everything not divinely designed for me, and the perfect plan of my life now comes to pass. And I love the phrasing divinely designed and divinely selected. So what's not divinely selected for me by the universe, by God, falls back on its own, falls away on its own. And I'm not kidding, guys. Like, I say this every night, and since I've been saying it, like, the things that have happened, I just can't ignore it. Like, they're crazy things that I'm like, if I wasn't saying this, if I wasn't putting this out into the universe, these things wouldn't have happened. Yeah. Because it happens in bundles, you know? They're things that happen like together, straight after one another. And I believe that when one person falls away from your life, when you're saying affirmations or whatever, like people come in groups, like you notice patterns where one person falls back and then another person, or circumstances as well, you know, everything is just so connected. And this affirmation has really made me conscious of this, and saying it every day, like every night before I sleep, I embrace things when they happen, because I know whatever happens is for my purpose and for me to like transform and to be a better version of myself. So when things happen, I know it's not serving me. When things fall back, I know that there is something there that isn't aligned to my existence, and I have to let go with grace. And it's honestly just changed my life. So that's one thing I so recommend you doing, like saying this kind of affirmation before you sleep.
Yeah, and also like when you wake up, so it kind of sets you up for the day. Yes, and I just wanted to go back actually, speaking of that, to your point that you made earlier about waking up, going on your phone. Like, it's something, again, we are all guilty of doing, but the impact it makes in your life is actually very negative, because the vibes that you're sending out when you do that is that you're relying on other people to provide you that kind of boost that you feel like you need in the morning. Like, you either are checking up other people and what they think.
And people are so depressed now, and they're not okay mentally. And it's like, okay, what's the first thing you do in the morning? Yeah. What do you do? I go on my phone. That is why. That contributes to your mood being low. Like, that's not releasing any happy hormones, it's an addictive thing to do.
So it releases happy hormones, but it's not the right ones that you're going to want. These are temporary fixes, and
that causes addiction.
If you imagine it like, you know, because the whole of social media is actually designed, the whole scrolling thing's designed after the gambling thing, you know, pulling the thing on a slot machine. So it is made there to build an addiction. They want you on social media as long as possible.
Like, we live in a society where that is the foundation of
a business,
of a business and of social media, to make us addicted to it. So why do we put so much trust into it? Like, why aren't we as conscious as we are of social media as of ourselves?
Oh my god, you need to watch. Have you watched that documentary on Netflix, like about social media and like how dark it can be? Like behind the scenes. It's crazy. I'd recommend you guys. I don't actually know the name of it, but if you look it up, I'm sure you'll find it. I know what you're talking about. But you know,
if it something project?
Probably, I don't know. I have no idea. I think my brother put it on when I watched it.
This is going to irritate me now.
But it's just so important to not start your day off. If you imagine it like a temporary fix, it's going to give you a bit of a boost of dopamine, but it's kind of like a drug, right?
Yeah.
Something like cocaine. It's going to make you feel a really high that the rest of your day seems absolutely crap in comparison to it, because it's not the same. That's why you always go back to your phone to get that quick fix, and rather than build your own happiness during the day.
Yeah. And imagine like if you had like a child, let's say, not even a child, like someone you're looking after, like a sibling, whatever, would you encourage them to start their day first thing on like watching TV or technology? You wouldn't, because you know you want to look after and you want to look after, like take care of someone. So I think it's always important to reflect like a sense of self-love and looking after yourself and doing the most loving thing possible. And going on your phone and doing up technology, I don't know, first thing in the morning is not a loving thing to do.
No, but we all know that instinctively though. It's just something that we're like,
ignore it.
It's a habit. It's
an
addiction.
But it's honestly so terrible, because our generation, it's so common for people to be depressed, and no wonder like it correlates with the usage of social media and online.
We need to do an episode on like dopamine, like from social media, and like the effects of social media. I just want to put a positive twist on it. Social media is amazing if you use it correctly.
Yeah, it's freaking amazing. Like
if you use it correctly.
That's with everything though, isn't it?
Yeah. It's in moderation, right?
Yeah, it's about knowing how to navigate around things, because it's so easy to be lost in this day and age where everything is so accessible to us.
Absolutely. And again, it's like a quick fix. It makes you feel happy when you're on your phone. I'm not gonna lie, when you're scrolling through social media, come across a funny meme or a funny video or
Zodiac memes.
Absolutely.
I love Aries, like Zodiac memes.
Love it. But that quick fix, that feeling of dopamine that's quick and easy to attain, is going to make the rest of your day absolutely rubbish. So I would just really recommend you to stay off the phone for at least an hour or two after you wake up, because it's just going to make a massive difference on you and your day. And actually, I listen to a lot of podcasts and people who are very successful who actually implement this in their life, because they know that by looking at your phone or answering your emails first thing in the morning, you're already giving in to other people rather than understanding yourself in the beginning of the day, building yourself up. And it's a really good sense of like a barrier. And I actually kind of feel like it relates to like sensitivity. I think when we open our phone, our mood's very likely to change like consistently throughout the whole day. And you probably find that you actually are more attracted to going on your phone, because that's something that you did when you woke up in the first thing. It's already built that addiction to want to come back to it, because you've already had that boost of dopamine from it. You're going to want to keep having that quick fix every time your day is like not going as great, or you should be, we're all guilty of this, being productive, but social media is just so tempting and you can't find happiness with what you're building just yet. So instead of working on it and building the dopamine, which is a natural way of doing things because you have to earn good things, sometimes it's just straight there on your phone. All you got to do is open the app and just scroll to get that dopamine. So I would really recommend
our quality of life is just so different to like how it must have been previously, like in like, I don't know, 200 years ago, 100 years ago. Obviously during those times, very, very different circumstances, but the way our like brains are wired now,
absolutely,
it's just crazy. Like we're not connected to nature anymore, and it's like that's been replaced with technology.
Well, it's hard. Like when you walk down the road, you always see people walking with their phones in their hands and like they're on that rather than looking around them. And you miss a lot of opportunities actually by doing that. But I would really try to stay as grounded as possible and and just like going about your day, kind of embracing the present. And maybe that's what it comes to. Maybe social media is an escapism, so that you're not paying attention to gratitude and what you should be affirming in your life. And it's a sense of stability for you, which means that you're probably very unstable in your life actually, because you can't feel grounded in yourself, but you've applied it to your phone, to social media, or to whatever.
And it's so awful. Like there's young kids that are so obsessed with their phones. And you know those memes that are like when I was your age, like I was playing outside.
Yeah, like 13-year-olds then and 13-year-olds now, like the complete difference.
Yeah, it's so true. Like
Oh my
completely
God.
different times.
I love the pictures of me when I was 13. Complete different person. What the heck? But the 13-year-olds now, like their hair and makeup done. Like I remember
they're wearing
with my
heels.
glasses,
Like what is going on?
I was literally wearing like checkered like plaid tops and like really horrible clothes.
Really, like, to be honest,
Frizzy hair.
Yeah, my hair was so frizzy as well. But yeah, it's just, I think, and you know, we have to, like, that is due to social media, because these young kids are more conscious of, you know, what older, you know, girls and guys are doing. So they want to they want to they want to embrace that more rather than themselves. And that is because of social media and how hooked this generation is to social media.
Yeah. Wow, very powerful stuff.
Yeah,
just don't do that in the mornings. Just acknowledge the things around you. Be grateful for what you've got, you know, and try not to rely on your happiness to be on through a screen.
Yes. So moving on now with our questions.
Yes, so we have a question from Lee, and Lee has said, how do you release unpleasant emotions or thoughts? How would you answer this one? How do you release this unpleasant thought or emotion if you're experiencing
So my advice would be reflecting on my own experiences. You know, the first thing would be, and sounds like it's hard to do, but it's, you know, it's all about persistence, and it's basically to release, like to let go of the power of that situation has over you. Because, you know, we could have gone through like something really terrible, but we're choosing to replay that in our head all the time. So when you wake up in the morning, right, it's like, the way I see it, you have a choice. You can think about that again and again and again for days in a row. You could do that, like, by all means you could do that, or you could choose for it to not have power over you and to not obsess over it. And that is always down to you. And just understanding that it's your choice for what to do is so, like, empowering.
I think this is also where affirmations could be quite good, you know.
Yes.
Like, this thought is not going to have hold on me. I'm more powerful than, you know, my past, or I'm more powerful than whatever it is that you feel as if is blocking your way or blocking your mindset.
It's all about letting go of that resistance.
And I'd also kind of say, like, replacing it with something else. As long as you're obviously aware of it, Lee, you're obviously kind of, there's a higher voice above that saying, okay, like, this needs to go, but how do I? And the fact that there is that higher voice already questioning that thought means that you're already above it.
Yeah.
And it's putting power to that. It's of going, okay, I always have a conversation with myself, you know.
Yeah.
At first I thought it was a problem, but you know, now I'm just like, okay, this is my higher self saying, okay, this isn't a pleasant thought. It's one that's actually probably deteriorating me. It has no good to me. So what can I replace this with? Whether it's completely counteracting whatever this is, or just completely going away from this, because what you think or what you say out loud consistently ends up kind of being pushed into your subconscious. So this is why affirmations are quite good, to say that this is not having a hold of me. And if it's like an unpleasant emotions, you know, thinking bad of yourself, it's by replacing that with something good about yourself, you know, and just completely remove it from your brain and put a new one in, like a system.
Sneak it in.
It's like a system. Imagine like a computer system. There's a bug in there. Okay, let's take the bug out. Let's replace it with some good.
And why do we want to be the same person every day? Why do we want to relive something that traumatized us? Why do we think that that is our worth? That is where our worth lies. In replaying something again and again in our heads and obsessing over it. You know, it's like that's all we know, and we don't want to make that shift, because we almost, you know, everyone feels sorry for themselves at some point, but it's about stepping into that. Okay, well, that happened. How am I going to move on? Moving on, I know that what happened, you know, don't shut it off, don't shut it down, you know, like, recognize that it happened, but know that life doesn't have to be that way, where you constantly dread over the same thing. Like, you don't have to be the same person every day. Like, be open to transforming to, like, away from things that have happened to you. And
a really nice affirmation, like, short and simple, saying, I am in control.
I am in control.
I am in control.
whatever's happened, I bless it.
Yeah.
And moving forward,
gonna let control me.
I'm moving on with grace and gratitude.
Who do you give more power to? Like, if we're going to look at it from a logical point of view, yourself or your thoughts?
Yeah, your thoughts in that situation that happened, that is not even happening anymore. But, it happened at a moment in time, are you still going to give it power over the rest of your life to dictate your everyday and your well-being and your mental health? I don't think so.
No, we just switched it round.
Yes, we do. And, everyone goes through trauma and just, not to in a way dismiss your own trauma, never do that. But just know that it's a part of life and it's up to you what to do with it.
And embrace it. Embrace that this is how you feel and that this is something that's been a part of you, but say goodbye to it. Okay, this thought has not got anything to do with me anymore, and I release this, and this is not for my highest purpose.
If you can obsess over negative things that have happened to you, you can obsess over good things and gratitude. You don't need to go back to the same self-diminishing mindset, patterns and ways of being.
Yeah,
you make that choice.
Absolutely. So is there anything you want to say about that before we go to the next one?
No, I think we covered everything.
Okay. So the last question we have is again from Lee, saying how to create positive feelings to support manifesting. And I like these two questions because now that we've kind of understood how to release, this is a good time to replace that negative thought and put that positive in. So a good way of creating positive feelings to support manifesting.
Gratitude, what we've been speaking about. Gratitude is the number one thing. Even if you're going through a crap situation, if you just think of 5 things or however many things you're grateful for, you can already look back at what you're going through and be like, you know what, it's not that bad. I need to see it a bit differently.
Yeah.
And just kind of going back to what we said before, the way that life is, it's really a journey and we're not going to be here forever. So whatever problem you have, try to see it with grace and not let it be so destructive to your well-being and to who you are as a person.
Yeah, and doing things that actually bring about the positive feelings. I always say life is like a mirror. What's on the outside will affect the inside and vice versa, and inside will affect the outside. So if you find that there's a struggle with getting rid of negative thoughts or negative emotions, Andrew Huberman, a neuroscientist, said it, getting rid of negative thoughts by thinking is like whack-a-mole. Something else is just going to pop back up again. So if that's the case, looking to your external environment in this case is going to be more beneficial to you than trying to look from it within. And not many people agree with me about this, but I will stand by it until my death. Agree. Because you don't have to rely on it, but it's a good catalyst for bringing positive feelings and thoughts into your environment. So if you like going for a run, doing that is going to bring about dopamine and it's going to make you feel good, and that's embracing something positive in your life. And it's replacing again that negative that would have been there. That time that you did spend thinking about something bad has now been replaced with something that makes you happy, whether it's reading a book that you really like, watching a movie that you really like. It's bringing in that dopamine for you, and that's going to be beneficial. So that's what I would say, because this question is quite true in a sense of where it says to support manifesting, how to create positive feelings to support manifesting, because negativity and dissatisfaction with what you have and not, being able to be grateful for the things that you still do have, no matter how minuscule the list may be. It's about understanding that ultimately, if you're not grateful for what you've got, you're actually blocking something new from coming in. So positive thoughts, positive feelings, affirmations, and gratitude will bring about something great for you that you're wanting and manifesting. I also find this really interesting in the question that Lee has also mentioned. So making changes in life, however positive, often seems a lot of discomfort, some stress and anxiety too when I'm challenging myself. So how does having those feelings affect manifesting? Which I think is, so they affect it by blocking it. When in some way, discomfort and stress and anxiety when you're in the middle of making these changes is only normal. If in this case, I would say it's not that, how can I describe this? The discomfort of embracing something positive rather than negative is actually what's going to manifest something, because you're almost proving that you can go through this challenging time to get something better. Do you know what I mean? There's always going to be that little bit of an obstacle.
Me, it always goes back to self-worth as well.
Absolutely.
Like, if that's the foundation, you're like inviting your manifestations to happen because you know you're deserving of it.
Yeah.
And, you know, when we go through a lot of stuff, whatever, like, and we don't really, we're not as aware of our inner work, we don't feel like we're worthy of what we're even asking for. So that creates a lot of conflict, I find.
So when he says like, when you're thinking positively and you feel uncomfortable because obviously you're not used to it, how would you describe that discomfort? Would you say this would affect manifesting?
I think it would like delay it, and it would, I feel like until you resolve that internal conflict, you won't be a clear channel for those manifestations
to
happen
resistance.
So in a graceful, divine way.
Yeah.
Because part of, you know, things happening in a divine way for you in your divine pattern is knowing that you are so taken care of and just trusting. And when you trust, what is there to actually stress over? I think it comes from a lack of trust.
But I also feel like it's only normal though.
It is normal when you are making that shift.
Yeah.
You know, like you are confronted with that because you're changing your complete view of yourself and worth, and you know, that's from childhood. Like, that's not easy. Like, what you're exposed to as a child, and because everyone is exposed to, you know, survival mode and, you know, finding your place in the world and relying on yourself. And, you know, in certain situations that diminishes your self-worth, and you almost don't want to trust the good because it's easier and more comfortable to trust in the bad. And, you know, that resistance, you know, blocks your view on abundance and how guided and like how much you can actually trust the universe.
And I also feel as though, like I was saying earlier, this kind of this question of where it continues to say, then self-work is another level, especially if going deep, confronting unpleasant thoughts and stirring up emotions. Could this sabotage manifestations? I actually feel like this is a part of the process. Like, if you're manifesting a new life, a new world, or a new way of being, or anything to do with that, I think you're naturally going to bring up subconscious things that you need to clear out first. You know, it's almost like you're like, I want this manifestation. The universe is like, okay, well, in order to get there, you're going to have to remove this from your life, you know, whether it's being uncomfortable. And as you said, when you're challenging yourself, you're gonna feel that like weird pull, that weird restriction, because you're trying to come out your comfort zone, or you're doing things that aren't normal to you usually,
and it always feels uncomfortable at the start.
So I wouldn't say it would sabotage manifestations. I actually feel like it's a weird part of the journey to get where it is that you want to go.
And until, you know, how long can you be feeling that until you just start trusting?
Until the obstacles are removed and you're no longer resistant to that kind of.
For sure.
Absolutely. So that is the
I
end
really
of the
liked
podcast.
this episode.
It's nice. And I think there's so many different tangents that you can go on when it comes down to gratitude and affirmations, but there's plenty of websites and things online where you can check out affirmations. But I would really actually shout out to the book of, like, was it Florence Scovel Shinn?
It's like a tongue twister of Florence Scovel Shinn.
It's like the game of life,
The game of life and how to play it. And she also has a book called Your Word is Your Wand, which is amazing. And The Secret Door to Success. Because
it was so empowering. I'm not even like halfway in through the book and I feel so magical and abundant. It teaches you a lot about the universe being abundant, and, you know, there being one universal power,
and putting your trust in, you know, the good instead of the bad, because that's what you're gonna align yourself with what you believe in, and you'll make that real. Whatever it is, you will make it real, whether it's good or bad, and that is your choice. Every day you wake up, that is up to you.
Your whole life is your choice, really, your destiny. And the book also talks about the spoken word and how important that is, and it brings about so many examples that are just so exhilarating to me. But thank you guys so much for listening.
We're gonna go off again.
We're gonna we have a new podcast on the extension. That is the rest of the podcast.
Thank you for listening. Love you all,
and sending in your questions. If you guys wanted to send in any more of your questions, we'd be very happy to answer them. If you go to the email askspiritualsociety@gmail.com, we'll be happily taking in any more questions. But for now, we're gonna love you and leave you.
Love you
amazing day. Count things that you're grateful for.
Count your
Affirm
blessings.
something
Name
amazing.
them one by one.
Absolutely. And we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.